MEDITRAPTION.
We're diving all the way in to this audio file called findthethread.mp3.
Oh,
And it's really kind of cryptic.
right.
It mentions something called MEDITRAPTION, but like, what is that? Is that like a thing you do? Is it a state of mind? A tool?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, how do you even define that?
Right. And there are some really interesting lines in here, like blockchain of joy. Chains that lie within.
Yeah, there's a lot of imagery in here that really gets you thinking.
And a riddle
Definitely.
wrapped in like a mystery or something.
Not your typical source material, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of unpack this and, see what we can find about self-discovery, maybe even breaking free from limitations and, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed that seemed to come up a lot was this idea of chains. Like the word chains and also blockchain. And so I'm kind of curious, like, is there a connection there to the actual technology of blockchain?
Yeah, potentially.
Like, the way that information is stored on this unchangeable chain.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, could our thoughts and emotions work in a similar way?
It's really fascinating how this audio file uses blockchain as this metaphor.
Okay.
If you think about it, a blockchain is this decentralized ledger.
Right.
And that means that no single entity controls it. And it's also immutable. So that means that once something is recorded, it can't be altered.
Wow.
So then if you imagine applying that to our own minds,
Yeah.
it's like, what if our deeply held beliefs and our fears, even our joys, are like these blocks in our own personal mental chain?
I like that.
And like a blockchain, those patterns can be difficult to change.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So then, like, if our minds are kind of like these blockchains with all these ingrained patterns, how do we even begin to identify which blocks might be holding us back? And there's this one line here that really stood out to me. It says, "Spoke of shadows, deep and wide truth, high to self-denied." And that really makes me think about all the things that we might try to just bury deep down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those shadows that it's talking about, they could represent the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to face. Like
Right.
our fears, our insecurities, maybe even painful memories.
Yeah.
And those things, when they're buried, they can become like chains. And they all link together
Oh, wow.
to create this rigid blockchain that kind of defines our reality.
That makes sense.
It's almost like we're denying a part of ourselves,
Right.
keeping it locked away in those shadows.
Okay, yeah, and then later on there's this line that says, "Break the chain. We must align with cosmic light, both yours and mine."
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought this cosmic light imagery was so powerful.
It is powerful.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, are we talking about some sort of spiritual awakening here?
Potentially, I think that cosmic light could have multiple interpretations.
Okay.
It might represent a connection to a higher consciousness, or even our intuition, or even like a universal truth that transcends our individual understanding.
Wow.
But I think aligning with that light suggests that we have to make this conscious effort to break free from those mental chains that we were talking about.
Right, and of course, we can't forget the final lines here. "MEDITRAPTION, freedom's call chain will break, revealing all." So putting it all together, what do you think this MEDITRAPTION could be?
Based on everything that we've been talking about, I think that MEDITRAPTION could be the key to unlocking those chains.
Okay.
It might be a practice, a process, or even just a state of mind that allows us to confront our shadows, connect with that cosmic light, and ultimately just, uncover our authentic selves.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the chains that bind us and finding a way to break free.
So to recap, we've got MEDITRAPTION as like this potential pathway to inner freedom. And these chains are kind of like the limitations that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
And this cosmic light is like a symbol of truth and potential.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary.
All right, so then if MEDITRAPTION is the key,
That is.
then the question is, what steps can people take to find it and unlock their own blockchain of joy?
Yeah. How can you cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness and break free from the patterns that are holding you back?
Right.
Maybe MEDITRAPTION is the answer.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
A really good question to ponder.
definitely.
I think that this cryptic audio has definitely sparked a lot of questions about self-discovery and the power of introspection.
Yeah.
And it seems like MEDITRAPTION might be more than just a word. It could be like a journey worth exploring.
I think so too.
Well, thank you so much for diving into this with me. It's been a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, this was a good one.